Okay, I'm here with Adam and Ian, and they're going to talk a little bit about the student reflection and progress tracking that they have their students do in English. So what is it that you guys have your students do?
So what we created for them was kind of a spreadsheet that allows them to track their scores over the course of the semester chronologically. So the farthest left on the sheet tells them where they're starting the semester, kind of depending on the major assignment and the skill that they're working on. And then as they scroll to the right, it shows all their major assignments for the entire semester, so they can kind of see where they started the semester, and then as it goes farther to the right, where they've gotten to, so they can track, how am I using evidence when I analyze literature. They can see their first score in that skill and then every subsequent score after that. So as the semester goes, they can see their growth as they've learned and as they've improved.
So on your sheet, you have each of the skills related to the Common Core State Standards.
Correct.
How are you giving them the feedback so that they know how to score themselves? Because it's a score out of 0 to 4, correct?
It's a 0 to 4 score. So a 4, the way we treat it, is exemplary. It's like, your work is so good we can use you as an example. A 3 to us means that you know how to do the skill. A 2 to us means you're not quite there yet, but you're getting real close. A 1 means you don't really know how to do it, and a 0 to us is a no evidence, that we haven't seen you do this in any way.
Okay. And how are you giving them that feedback? Are you giving it to them verbally? Are you giving it to them in a form? Because it looks like you're breaking it down for multiple things.
We're giving it back to them on rubrics. We'll do a lot of in-class feedback too, where we kind of go over the criteria that, okay, here's what a 4 looks like. A 4 to us is insightful, concise, and specific. And a 3 is clear and reasonable. A 2 is vague and superficial. A 1 is irrelevant or incoherent. And we sit down and talk with them, and we'll give them like student examples, and we'll have them score first. And then when we'll walk around and give them individual feedback and say, okay, well, you know what? I think you're vague and superficial. You're not quite yet clear and reasonable. And then they can kind of see what they need to do to move from a 2 to a 3 or a 3 to a 4.
So one thing that's kind of interesting and insightful is to see their perspective first of where they think they're at, and then you can kind of give them like the feedback on, I think you're right on the money here. Here's what you'd need to do to kind of grow in those areas.
So they have the opportunity, after getting that feedback from you, to improve upon and potentially earn a 3 or 4 in each of those areas.
We always tell our kids that if they want to redo any major assignment, any whatever, if you write an essay 55 times, we're going to read it 55 times. We're not going to stop you from learning.
Because what's our first one on there, the first major assignment?
The Black Eyed One Club.
Yeah, I think we had how many practices before just
9.
That first one? So there was 9 opportunities for practice before they even had one logged on that sheet.
So a lot of formative checks before, and then this was kind of I don't really want to call it a summative because we still practice that stuff after we're done with it, but without our help. Like you're on your own. Good luck, go.
Right.
And then if they want to redo it, then they can redo it.
Right, because it's about the skill and building that skill, not about the final product necessarily. When are you having the students input this, or are they just inputting it independently?
They're inputting it, so we just taught them kind of that process, and then what we'll do is we'll give them rubrics back, and then kind of do checkpoints throughout the semester. So we're just finishing up our first unit, so we'll probably do like a reflection kind of discussion individually or kind of with groups at the end of the unit, and then talk as we start our new unit about what our new focuses are. So our first focus with the voice unit was language, was analyzing diction, imagery, figurative language. Our next focus with Lord of the Flies will be characters. So that'll be something that we switch to, and we'll kind of pause at the language analysis part and then transition into the new stuff as the new unit starts.
So for those teachers who haven't had a chance to look at your sheet yet, it's color-coded, so students get to see, based on their score, kind of where they're at, and maybe areas for growth or where they're doing well. How are students responding to being able to look at that kind of progress for themselves?
So I think the thing that's so great about that is it's really easy to just at a glance see where you're at, because we set it up where all the 0s are red, the 1s are orange, the 2s are yellow, the 3s are green, and the 4s are blue. So I basically said, guys, what you need to do is try to get more green and blue by the end of the semester, because that'll show us that you're working your way across. And if you're seeing a bunch of green and blue and then one big red or orange, then we know, hey, here's a spot we need to fix.
And it's funny too, because our brainchild for this project, for having the kids do this, was kind of birthed last semester. Adam had showed me the spreadsheets that he had on his computer of, hey, here's how I'm kind of tracking the kids, and if we had like the perfect world, the standards-based grading, everything laid out, here's what would be cool if like grade books looked like this. And then we kind of just came up with this idea of how could they really do this same thing? How could they be monitoring this? And we were trying to evaluate, could they use these same type of spreadsheets? Would they understand this? Would these colors make sense to them? Would these skills make sense? And I was a little bit skeptical and at first, but today I think in class we heard kids talking about like, hey, for this assignment, I hit this level for this skill. And I was like, whoa.
Bam.
That's exactly what we want you to be able to tell us.
It's pretty cool to hear them talk about, well, you know what, I did a really nice job on evidence, but I'm not quite there yet on analysis, so that's something I'm going to focus on when we go to Lord of the Flies.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. If teachers have questions, can they seek you guys out and give them some feedback?
I can talk about grading forever.
Maybe not forever, maybe just for a minute or two.
But as much as they need, for sure.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
The one thing I just wanted to add too is I think one thing that Adam and I have kind of grown well, we've really been able to set up and promote just an idea and a culture in the beginning. And I think that's the biggest thing is I always kind of tell people like students will buy what you're selling. If you believe in setting up a classroom a certain way, I think we just kind of cast that vision the first week and kind of give them an idea for it.
One of the things that we do, I think, really well is we tell the kids it's not about where you're starting this class, it's about where you get to by the end of the class. And what this sheet helps them see is, well, here's the first thing you did the first day of class, and it wasn't very good, and it shouldn't have been very good because we haven't really taught you anything yet. So by the end of the class, hopefully we see a lot of growth. And it really takes a lot of pressure off kids that they don't have to perform day one or even week one or week two, but they really have to be great at stuff by the time the class ends. And when you give them the kind of the long view with that, it helps take off a lot of the pressure that will hold them back from maybe trying some things they might not otherwise.
Awesome. And I also think, even though it's not focusing on me at the moment, I think setting up students to understand that every opportunity doesn't have to be perfect, that there's always an opportunity to grow and learn, and we will give you those multiple opportunities to build this skill. There's not a done point.
Sure.
It's essential. And I guess I should have said at the beginning, you guys are teaching a co-taught class.
Correct. Yeah, co-taught English to sophomores.
Awesome. Okay, so this is Sam Miller, and she in her advanced algebra class, along with two other teachers, are having students complete and fill out a reflection form about their learning. Sam, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We started this process really to help students take ownership of their own learning. I think in the past we've said those words but didn't have them do a lot with it, or we talked the talk but they weren't really walking the walk. So the form was one way to really help buy in and really help them create the action plan, so it was less of me telling them what to do or what they should be doing, and really a chance for them to take it and run with it.
So what are the components on the form that you thought were important for students?
Well, we start with a reflection piece and areas of strength, areas of weakness, and then it transitions into a goal setting and action plan. And the key part is to keep revisiting that action plan and kind of that follow through. They've set a plan, but are we making steps towards that plan? Are we taking steps to reach that goal?
How often are they accessing this reflection piece and filling this form out?
We have our portfolios in the classroom, so students are daily going to them. I wouldn't say every student every day is going, but they have access to them daily. But we are checking in at least on a weekly basis using the Bulldog block.
And then how have you seen this impact student learning for you with this class this semester?
We've seen a lot of growth with students. It's helped a lot with buy-in. It's helped a lot with the growth mindset because they are setting their goals and then working towards meeting those goals. They really want to grow. From our first assessment score to as we're revisiting those skills and getting new assessment scores, they want to see that growth. It helps a little bit that we're incorporating some evidence-based learning and with some score replacement. It's a little bit of a dangling the carrot in front.
Right.
But they're seeing the rewards of their hard work, and I think that's important.
Do you feel like you as teachers know your students a little bit better because you're walking through this process with them and kind of where they're at and what their goals are?
Absolutely. I'm getting to know a lot more just about their thought process and kind of where they stand and how important our class, I know there's so many things on their plate and sort of where our class falls. And we've talked about time management and making priorities for a little bit of everything. And I found out a lot about my students because, you know what, it was kind of messy. It was rocky in the beginning. It was not a smooth transition, especially some of the students, this is their first time ever doing anything like this. So again, we've struggled a little bit. We had a little bit of failure, but we've been able to take those setbacks and build upon it, learn from it. And it's really neat to see those students have that passion and start to kind of develop a little bit of grit and work through it and see that they can come out on the other side. They can come out better for it.
Great. Now, I've heard teachers concern that it just takes too much class time to have students complete this process, which we can all understand. We're all crunched for class time. What would be your advice for a teacher who has that same concern?
I think that's a valid concern, especially in the beginning. There was a lot more discussion about even just how to take these steps. There was a lot of modeling going on, especially for students who had never been part of even just setting goals and kind of that process. But it's picked up speed, and now it's become almost second nature, I would say. So while we put a little bit more time in on the front end, I anticipate saving a lot of time on the back end. So I think it does balance out.
Great. Thanks, Sam.
Yep.